Welcome to the realm of heroes and monsters. Story time with your host, AP Fuchs. Stories of intrigue, stories of horror, stories of superheroics, stories of monsters. Get ready, the thrill ride begins. Welcome to episode 8 of the realm of heroes and monsters, story time with me, your host, AP Fuchs. And I say 8 just like that because that's how Picard said it on TNG. What's the date? Start at 47988. That was in the last episode. So anyway, that's our little Picard homage for this one. And we could all say that Patrick Stewart is awesome. So anyway, welcome to a whole new episode. Glad to have you here. Thank you for tuning in previous episodes, and I hope you tune in episodes to come here on Story Time. And we do have a story coming up really soon, and you're going to get to listen to that. And plus, we're also going to have a really fun, exciting piece of story before the story, which I'm excited to get into. And so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right into it right now. Welcome to Story Before the Story, where this season we're topically taking the concept of story and seeing how it applies to our everyday lives, because I've been asserting that stories are part of our lives 24/7. Okay, so today's topic is memoirs. Why would people write memoirs unless they had a story to tell? And memoirs are what? Non-fiction, right? Meaning they come from real life. So that being said, your life is a story, and sometimes things happen and it becomes a great story, and it sometimes gets recorded on paper, published in a book, and shared with others. We have famous ones like the Diary of Anne Frank, for example. Brilliant, well known the world over. You know, she's a hero in a lot of ways, but that's an example of a memoir. I don't think she really intended it to be such, but regardless, that's what it became. And out of that, we learned things. We learned a lot of things about what happened at that time, and that's wonderful for her. It's a really tragic story, unfortunately for her, but at the same time, she did make a massive contribution. But anyway, the point is memoirs. We all have stories, and there's a lot of services out there right now that will help you write a memoir of things that happen, because we all have these dramatic events in our lives, like life-changing stuff. We're talking everything from the gain of something important, or the loss of something important, or a trial that was just downright brutal that we had to go through. Like say a serious illness, or you somehow survive, stage 4 cancer, for example, things like that. Like big events, or you had, don't want to get too much adult into the podcast, but basically, other tragic type of events in that category. I mean, they're horrible, but they make stories. And hopefully they make stories that will teach others to not do those terrible things. But the point is, memoirs. I mean, we could even argue that my book here, Canadian Scribbler, Collected Letters of an Underground Writer, is a memoir. Why? Because in the letters are pieces of my life shared with readers who wrote in and wanted a response. Even the weekly newsletter, the Canister X Transmission, which is collected here in a book, but I have it ongoing weekly free at my website. If you go to register for that, it's free. But the point is, that too is a memoir, in the sense that I'm telling week after week what's going on. So all of our lives are this one giant memoir. And if you have the fortunate ability to, when your life is at an end and the time is coming, but you're still lucid enough to reflect and think, what are you doing in your head? You are basically doing a memoir of looking back on your life, and wondering, did I do a good job? Did I do a bad job? Was I as good as I should have been? Was I as loving as I should have been? Was there areas that maybe, if someone comes by to visit me, I should apologize to them for? Different things like that. The point is, if you're in that fortunate position of being lucid prior to passing on, you have that chance to mentally have a memoir. So the point is, memoirs are a wonderful way to tell a life story. And it once again proves that our lives are stories 24/7, 365, or 366 if it's a leap year. But you get the point. Okay? So if you have a story to tell and you're not sure how to go about it, maybe consider doing a life story. maybe sit down and maybe label it out in terms of a timeline, just as a general outline to start, of a certain events, and then, go back and then start expanding on those items, and you'll be surprised what kind of tale you're going to weave once you start, recalling those different events, good or bad, and you might have something exciting in the end. And that's the hope for anybody, right? That's the hope that ultimately, whether published or not, our lives become good memoirs. And that's really the goal for all of us, especially in the world that we live in. That is a difficult one, to be able to come away with a nice memoir, or at least one that's educational, informative, and at times entertaining. That's the goal. All right, enough of that, but you get the idea. If you haven't read any memoirs, they're categorized, okay, in terms of like, this one is more about slice of life, this one's more about this type of tragedy, or this one's this type of love, or whatever it might be. If there's like a quote unquote genre, so to speak, that you want to look up some memoirs under those categories and pick up one, try one. Even if you don't know the person who wrote it, like the name, you don't recognize the name, that's fine. Just pick it up, because you know what, that person may have a great memoir of their life to tell. All right, so anyway, we're going to tune in now to the story, the actual story, the reason why we're here. And I also would like you please to stick around for after the credits, because I do have a message of encouragement that I need to say. So please be sure to stick around for that. But now let's get into episode 8 of Storytime. Humanity. It was Tuesday, and Martin was at the mall people-watching, something he unexpectedly found himself enjoying while one day waiting on his wife while she tried on pants in another store. He sat on the bench in the main aisle between the shops, legs crossed, eyes on his lap. With his eyesight recently giving him a hard time, he put the focus on his ears and listened to humanity. She said it was around here somewhere, a man said, voice trailing. $84 and change? Not a deal at all, said another guy, this one sounding young. A child, giggling. Muddled voices for a few moments, then, I have cancer, a guy said, the kind you don't get better from. Really? She exclaimed. That's great. When did you guys meet? No, not him. Come on. He's fugly as hell. You're crazy. Mom. I said no. We have to go pick up Dad from work and we're already late. Don't think we'll make the mortgage this week. Just found out our EIs ran out. Sorry, babe. Glass shattered a few stores down on the right. Someone said something, but Martin couldn't make out what. More voices all melded together as one. A girl. The guy's a dork. So are you, another girl said. So late. Damn it. I thought the food court was... The guy's voice was like steel. Tell him 1:35 firm or we're not getting it. Oh Lord, watch over them, she said. Sudden silence. No one walked by. Minutes passed. Do you think you could move any slower? She said. Ow, you're hurting my arm, the little boy said. Come on. Those cards go in this rack. The wet sound of a kiss. Martin looked up. People walked by. Martin looked down and listened again. Okay, so here we are after the credits, and I want to give this message of encouragement. When this episode airs, at least in North America, we're here with a lot of changes happening, big time, on the world stage, both in Canada and in the States. The States especially because inauguration is soon. In Canada, our Prime Minister's just stepped down, therefore an election is coming up at some point soon this year, so there's going to be a change in power there as well. And it's going to be a drastic change for both countries in terms of, I guess you could say, the approach to how things are run. And, the bottom line is all of us, whether we voted for the person or not, are going to have to go through some changes. And some of these changes might be wonderful, and I really hope for that. And other changes might be not at all good. And so what I want to encourage you with is this. We are in North America. There's a change of power. And we are all in this together. End of story. All right. At times like this is not an issue about, whose party is right, whose party is wrong, whatever. No. If there's changes that are negatively affecting us, this is time to link arms across this continent and stay in there together, help each other out, give each other encouragement, and just push each other on to keep going. Because hopefully any bumps in the road will be minor, but if there's any major big ones, then at least we have each other to help each other out. So that's my note of encouragement to you. Please, in the coming time, I would suggest 3 to 4 weeks for sure. Let's link arms, just in case. All right, we'll see you next week. Cheers.